In this video, we're going to discuss inventoriable and period costs. Now, when I first learned this, I thought to myself, inventoriable is a word? Let's define it. Inventoriable costs are the costs incurred to produce or acquire goods that are held in inventory until they are sold. These costs include all expenses directly associated with the production or purchase of the inventory, such as direct materials, direct labor, and manufacturing overhead. Said another way, these are some of the costs we've talked about in other lessons that all go onto the balance sheet. You know what these are. These are direct materials, work in process, and finished goods inventory. Now, let's focus in on that finished good. While it starts on the balance sheet, we know it doesn't always end up there. In fact, we don't want it to end up there. We want it to move from the balance sheet to another financial statement called the income statement. It gets there through a journal entry. When you studied introductory accounting, you probably saw a journal entry that looked something like this: debit the cost of goods sold and credit finished goods inventory. The cost of goods sold, remember, is abbreviated as COGS, COGS, and that is an income statement account. Now's a good time, speaking of the income statement, for us to discuss period costs. Period costs are the expenses that are not directly tied to the production process and are expensed in the period in which they are incurred. They are the expenses on the income statement other than COGS. Some examples: selling and administrative expenses, and general overhead costs not related to manufacturing. So this would be overhead, OH, not to be confused with manufacturing overhead, which is MOH. Let's go back to that finished product, the chair. We know it just doesn't magically appear. Things need to be done in order for it to be created. There are direct materials, which we can abbreviate as DM. I'll use this picture again. This time I'll use this picture for direct labor, which is DL, or direct manufacturing labor, which is abbreviated DML. And then we have our manufacturing overhead, MOH. A simple way to think about this would be direct materials plus direct labor plus manufacturing overhead gives us our final finished good. But we know it's not exactly as simple as that, because at the end of the period, not everything is completely finished. The products are in various stages of completion at the end of a period. Some of the direct materials inventory hasn't been used yet, and that will remain on the balance sheet as direct materials. Some of it has been used but is not yet finished. That is work in process. And then finally, some of it has been completely used, all the work is done, and it's sitting there as a finished good. Now, these three accounts sit on the balance sheet. This is a way to visualize what is meant by inventoriable costs are the costs incurred to produce or acquire goods that are held in inventory until they are sold. Emphasis on the end there, until they are sold, meaning finished goods eventually goes to cost of goods sold. Now, all expenses other than cost of goods sold related to the operating of the business, these are what we refer to as period costs, which are the expenses that are not directly tied to the production process and are expensed in the period in which they are incurred. That means these are the costs on the income statement other than the cost of goods sold. I hope you found this video helpful and it clarifies the difference between inventoriable and period costs. Until next time, I'll say thank you for watching and may your journey be joyful.
In a factory by the wayside, where the workers work hard and with pride, there's a story about the costs they bear and how they're counted if you care. Inventoriable costs, they're tied to the goods, from the first piece of wood to where it all stood. Direct materials, labor, and overhead too, all come together for the work they do. Oh, inventoriable costs, you start as an asset on the balance sheet, that's where you rest. Till the goods are sold, you're part of the store, then you're the cost of goods and nothing more. You're the essence of the things we make. In every product you have your stake. And there's a different kind of cost, my friend, that starts when the day's work comes to an end. Period costs. They're not tied to the goods we see, but they keep the wheels turning as they're meant to be. From the selling expenses to the admin's way, they're the costs of doing business day by day. Rent and wages in the office tall, they don't get stored but they're vital to all. Oh, period costs, you live in the now. On the income statement you take a bow. No matter what we make or sell, in the period incur, your story we tell. You're the backbone of the business tide, keeping things running on the other side. Inventoriable costs, you start as a dream. In every product you're the hidden gleam. But period costs, you're the guiding light. In every season, in every night. Both cost together, they make us whole. In the dance of business, they play their role. So when you see a product shine, remember the costs that are intertwined. The wood, the labor, the factories hum. Inventoriable costs, they all come from. But the journey doesn't end when the product is made. Period cost, ensure the bills are paid. From the marketing push to the admin's care, they're the unseen force that's always there. Oh, inventoriable and period hand in hand. You're the melody that runs this land. One in the warehouse, one in the books. Together you write the story, no matter how it looks. In the ledger's lines and the prophet's tale, you're the wind in the business sail. So here's to the costs, both big and small, in every product and every haul. From the factory floor to the office high, you're the reason a business can fly. Inventoriable and period, you guide our way. In the world of commerce, you're here to stay. Together you make the whole thing go. In the dance of dollars, you steal the show.